Hello, my name is Nina. I am a master's candidate at the University of Ottawa in anthropology. I coordinate the Planthropo Lab, directed by my thesis supervisor, Julie Laplante, where we explore lively forms of anthropology. Today, I will talk about something that's very interesting and will give you some perspective about what we do as anthropologists. It might even spark interest and curiosity to learn more about my research project. The first theme on the list of topics being discussed this year is cannabis, from traditional to medical applications. Cannabis, while it remains an illegal substance in most of the world today, G7 countries like Canada are legalizing recreational cannabis, giving rise to a new market and new economic opportunity. Interestingly, the legalization of recreational cannabis in Canada has been based on court ruling and not scientific evidence. Thus, to ensure safety and quality assurance, cannabis companies must disclose quantitative measures that can inform the consumer about the product without explicitly selling them an experience. Due to these restrictive guidelines, the only way the recreational market can promote cannabis to a Canadian audience is by informing the consumer about its risk and intensities quantified by THC and CBD percentages, which are meant to educate the consumer about the products following the Cannabis Act. What is interesting about this public health approach is that drug effects and experience are quantified based on percentage number that is associated with 2 out of 100 plus molecular compounds found in the dry cannabis flower. It is then assumed that since THC is associated with psychoactive experiences, the higher the THC is, the more intense the high experience will be. This way of knowing cannabis would be accurate if it were a single molecular compound, which it is not. Thus, we are presented with a new human-cannabis relation where the emphasis on THC percentages outweighs the plant's entourage effect. Anthropology allows us to take these human-plant relations seriously and study them. My research poster is based on my thesis project that seeks to explore how cannabis is unknown through its legalization and standardization following the first Canadian Grow Cup. The study's objective was to understand the sensory ways of knowing cannabis and contrasting them with those based on distant measures. Anthropologists like to begin their studies with an open mind and a broad lens. They typically look at the micro level and draw conclusions by using theory and concepts as analytical tools. There are 3 central concepts that emerge from my study: knowing, sensing, and skills. In short, knowing is understood in an Ingoldian sense as a process of actively following and going along. Thus, I situate my study outside the constraints of the lab. By participating as an apprentice, I was able to know and sense from my own bodily perception how cannabis seems to find a way to escape the content's quality criteria by attuning attention to entanglements of people and things in the world. By placing human perception at the center of my analysis, I was able to attune attention to the ways my mentor and I came to know and sense cannabis. Thus, by situating myself as an apprentice, I was able to participate in the Grow Cup by active following and observing how human cannabis relations in everyday life do not involve reducing the plant to its molecular compounds, although it can be helpful. Instead, knowing cannabis entails a bodily sensitivity to the environment in which the plant and growers engage in close proximity. My results demonstrate that the contents criteria, highest THC and terpene profile in terms of percentage, reflect the legal and standardization framework of the Cannabis Act and Health Canada. As a result, quantitative measures are giving rise to a new phenomenon, THCmania, the rush to produce the highest THC in dry flower. The skilled home growers knowing and sensing of cannabis did not fit the contest criteria. Instead, it was reduced to THC and terpene percentages. In conclusion, Canada legalized recreational cannabis on the basis that it would protect young Canadians by keeping the plant out of the hands of children and youth, keeping profit off the hands of criminals, and protecting public health. and safety by decreasing the risk and reducing the potential damages surrounding cannabis. Yet, with such harsh regulatory measures and the focus on single molecule measurements, the rush to produce the highest THC is on the rise, overshadowing other ways of knowing cannabis. I invite you to take a closer look at my poster to understand the details of this study. Thank you for listening to my presentation.